Whispers of the Gamayun, the Delta's curse. The river creaked beneath my feet, ancient and swollen with secrets. I stood on the edge of the Volga Delta, a place where the dark waters twined like serpents beneath the rotting wood of the pier. Hope had crumbled beneath my touch like the petrified paint of the old sign warning visitors of the Gamayun, a creature so elusive it had become more legend than fact. A creature that, according to the locals, could unravel your soul with a single haunting melody. I had come here looking for the truth, but standing there, the damp air curling around me like a cold breath, I began to wonder if some truths were better left undiscovered. My name is Sergey, and I was a journalist, more specifically, a reporter of folklore and lost tales. It was a niche that had garnered little respect, but to me, each story was a ghost worth chasing. And now, standing in this decaying village, with nothing but the wailing wind and the distant call of crows, I felt the weight of this one pressing down on me. My gear slung over my shoulder clanked softly with each cautious step. I had spent a week here, among the scattered remnants of what had once been a bustling fishing community, before the stories of the Gamayun drove everyone away. Locals whispered that she was a bird woman, her feathers as dark as the night sky, eyes burning like the embers of a dying fire. Some spoke of her beautiful song, others of the madness that followed, but all warned me to leave before night fell. As night approached, the sun dipped low, casting a bruised glow across the water. Every creak of the dock seemed to echo my heart racing in my chest. I had planned to gather one more interview. Old Ivan, a resident whose raving tales often danced just beyond the realm of understanding. Spotting Ivan's ramshackle cabin through the dense fog, I crossed the muddy path, careful to avoid the patches of blackened earth that whispered of decay. The old man opened the door before I even knocked, his eyes gleaming with a wildness that sent shivers down my spine. "You came. You should not have come," he cackled, pulling me inside before the shadows could claim me. The interior was cluttered with trinkets, bones, and tattered maps, sagging from the walls, all preserving the essence of forgotten lives. The air was thick with the smell of brine and something else, something rotten. "You know the tales, don't you?" he rasped, drawing me toward a rickety table cluttered with jars of murky liquid. "The Gamayun can take many forms, Sergey, but she always sings the same sorrowful song." "What happens to people who hear it?" I asked, trying to keep the tremor from my voice. Ivan leaned in, his breath pungent like spoilage. "They lose their minds, or worse." He waved a gnarled hand toward the window, where the fog thickened, brushing against the glass with a ghostly whisper. "But they're drawn to her, like moths. Do you know the song?" I shook my head, an uneasy laughter bubbling within me. "No, but I intend to find out." As the darkness settled outside, the shadows inside the cabin wrapped around us like a shroud. Ivan began to sway slightly, mumbling something about the waters and the way they called to people's true selves. I felt a chill slide down my spine as his stories morphed into riddles, layered like the fog outside. I glanced at the clock. Time was slipping away faster than I realized. "I should go," I stammered, glancing at the door. A cold grip settled over me. The river was calling, and the river was dangerous, but I had to gather more for the story. "Stay here," Ivan croaked, his voice rising to a near screech. "You leave now. The Gamayun will find you." I hesitated, my heart pounding against my ribs. But fear, too, has a way of spurring one into action. "I won't be long," I promised, though the words felt hollow. I stepped outside, the river now a black maw, reflecting the bruised sky under a shroud of cloud. The pier creaked ominously underfoot as I peered into the abyss of the Volga. The wind carried an otherworldly note, almost a song, plucking at the strings of my heart. I recalled the locals' warnings, "Do not listen." The melody they claimed to hear was both beautiful and horrifying, a siren call leading to madness. A flicker of movement caught my eye. At the very edge of the water, where the shadows twisted and danced, I saw her. The figure of a woman, or was it a bird? Her silhouette merged with the darkness, and for a moment, I thought I could see feathers glistening, catching the last light of the day. "Hello?" I called, my voice trembling. She turned her head, revealing eyes that glowed like dying stars. "Come closer," she beckoned, her voice honeyed yet chilling, sending a shiver lancing through my body. I felt as though I were being pulled by an unseen tether, the very air around me vibrating with her call. Every rational thought fled, leaving nothing but the ache of curiosity and desire. Stepping closer, I caught a glimpse of her form. She was impossibly beautiful, with hair spilling down her shoulders like silken raven feathers. But beneath that beauty lurked an unsettling aura, an intensity that set my instincts on edge. What are you?" I managed to croak. "I am the song of the river," she sang softly, her voice wrapping around me like a warm embrace, yet filled with an undercurrent of sorrow. "I can help you find the truth of your heart, Sergei." As she spoke, the softness of her voice filled my mind with echoes of forgotten memories, and I felt myself swaying, entranced. The world blurred at the edges, the fog thickening around us like a veil separating my soul from reality. "You're the Gamayun," I whispered, my resolve beginning to crumble. Her smile widened, revealing teeth too sharp, too perfect. "I am everything you wish to see and feel." She began to hum, a low thrumming note that sent vibrations echoing through my chest. It was oddly comforting, as if no pain ever existed in this world. I could feel the pull of the water behind me, whispering, wrapping itself around my ankles like a lover. But then, from somewhere deep within me, a memory stirred, a reminder of those stories Ivan had shared. "No, you can't." I blinked, trying to shake my head free. "You lead people to madness. Madness is merely the shedding of the mundane, Sergei," she responded, her voice now a song that twirled around my thoughts. "Wouldn't you rather know what lies beneath the surface?" A water swelled with her words, the dark depths beckoning me closer, as if the river itself begged for my surrender. I took a step back, tearing my gaze away from her. "I want to leave." My voice rose, panic clawing at my throat, desperate to escape her pull. Suddenly, the melody shattered, replaced by a cacophony of distant screams and wails that echoed off the riverbanks. The fog rolled in thicker, and the world felt like it was closing around me. I turned to run, my feet plunging into the mud, slipping as the sound of her laughter trailed behind me like the tide. "Leave if you wish, Sergei," she called, her voice fading into the fog. "But remember, the truth waits for those who dare seek it." The cabin door slammed behind me as I stumbled inside, breathless and shaking. Ivan was at the table, eyes wide with worry. "You heard her, didn't you?" he breathed, a mix of awe and horror crossing his features. Yes, I managed, my heartbeat thundering in my ears. "She was beautiful, but—" "Then you know," he interrupted, eyes gleaming with a mix of understanding and pity. "You're marked now. She'll always sing for you. Always." I sank into a chair, feeling the weight of the world settle over me. "What do I do?" "Face it. She won't stop until she has you." He glanced at the window, where the fog gathered like a hungry beast. "You can't escape her song." As night deepened, the air grew thick with unease. I could feel the melody wrapping around my mind, haunting me like a ghost. I knew I had to leave the village, leave this cursed place. Yet even as I packed my things, I felt her presence lingering in every corner, a gentle caress brushing against my skin. I stumbled back to the river's edge, the cold water laughing at my choices, lapping playfully at the shore. My heart raced as I fought against the seductive lullaby echoing in my thoughts. "I can't stay. I won't become one of them," I breathed, knowing the fight was only just beginning. A flicker of darkness glimmered just beneath the surface as I turned to leave. The river's surface shimmered, obscuring its depths, but I knew that creatures of shadow lurked below, waiting for those who might listen. And though I fled the town, I could feel her song woven into the very fabric of my being. The truth would always beckon. And whether I'd ever escape those haunting notes, well, that was a truth only the Volga knew. I stumbled away from the river, driven by a primal instinct for survival. yet pulled inexorably back by an invisible thread. The air was thick with tension, and I could feel the fog creeping in, curling around my ankles and rising to my knees as if it wished to ensnare me. Each footfall was a battle against the intoxicating melody that echoed in my ears, twining through my thoughts and tightening its grip on my chest. "Sergei," Ivan's voice broke through the haze as I hurried down the path, a desperate whisper filled with warning. "You need to understand, she is the river, and the river is her. You will never drown in water, but in her song." I spun around, nearly slipping in the mud once more. "What do you mean?" His eyes darted nervously to the trees lining the path, branches clawing at the night sky. "The truth she speaks of, it's more than just knowledge. It's a bond, a curse." As I pressed onward, Ivan's words echoed in my mind. I quickened my pace, but the laughter danced just out of reach, teasing me like a breath of wind. I wanted to scream, to tear my hair out, but all that escaped my lips was a strangled sound, swallowed by the oppressive silence that surrounded me. The village lay behind me, like a fading nightmare, as I pushed deeper into the woods. The trees loomed ominously, their gnarled branches silhouetted against the pale moonlight. My heart pounded in my chest, but it was the insistent pull of her melody that guided my steps, leading me deeper into the shadows. "Why can't you leave me alone?" I shouted into the night, my voice trembling with desperation. The laughter that answered was rich and melodic, wrapping around me like silk before dissipating into the cool night air. Suddenly, the world shifted. The fog thickened, swirling mysteriously and revealing a clearing ahead. The trees parted like an audience waiting for a performance. I stepped forward, heart racing as I crossed the threshold. The ground was soft beneath my feet, yielding to my weight, and flowers, impossibly vibrant, bloomed in hues that shouldn't exist under the moonlight. "Welcome," the voice purred, a whisper that caressed my ears as if the wind had come alive. "You danced with me once, Sergei. It is time to join the others." In the center of the clearing stood a figure, ethereal and beautiful, with hair like cascading water, and eyes that glimmered like the surface of the Volga at dawn. Her presence was intoxicating, drawing me closer even as dread coiled in my stomach. "What do you want?" I demanded, though my words felt feeble. "To give you what you seek," the river's song replied, her smile enchanting and terrifying. "Experience the truth of your own heart. What lies beneath the surface is waiting." The clearing vibrated with energy, and I felt it within me, a resonance that threatened to pull me under. I wavered, torn between the safety of knowledge and the allure of the unknown. My breath quickened as I stepped closer, compelled by forces I scarcely understood. "I wish to be free of this curse," I gasped, my voice barely louder than a whisper. "Freedom," she echoed, a laugh like distant bells ringing in my ears. "What if freedom means embracing your fate?" "Fate?" I spat the word, the bitterness coating my tongue. "You want to trap me here, like the lost souls you keep." The laughter faded into a measured silence. "No souls are lost, Sergei. They simply wanted to know." My mind reeled, the fog swirling in my thoughts. What exactly was the price of truth? The stories of the villagers echoed within me, whispered fears and sacrifices, and I suddenly felt the weight of their choices crashing over me, like a tide, a suffocating wave that threatened to drown out my will. "You stand at the edge, Sergei," she said, her voice soothing. "Embrace it, let go." The melody intensified, threads of light weaving through the darkness, drawing me closer to the edge of something vast and unknown. Part of me ached to leap, to plunge into the depths of her truth, to swim among the secrets that lay hidden beneath the surface of the river. But there was another voice, a whisper of fear, a fragile thread of reason. "No," I said aloud, my voice trembling with defiance. "I won't be consumed." With a surge of determination, I turned, breaking the spell that held me captive. I fled into the shadows, the clearing fading behind me. The laughter followed, echoing in the hollow of my chest. "You cannot escape the melody, Sergei," she sang, the sound becoming more furious, more haunting. As I sprinted through the trees, the forest felt alive, whispering and mocking my retreat. My pulse raced, but I could no longer feel the grip of her song around me. I broke through the tree line, bursting onto the riverbank, where the water glinted under the moonlight. I stumbled to the edge, gasping for breath, my pulse still throbbing in my ears. And then I saw it, a figure beneath the surface, ethereal and beckoning, her hair trailing like silk, alluring and dangerous. The truth waited, but at what cost? I took a step back, heart pounding. The river whispered, and for a moment I was paralyzed between fear and desire. But as I finally turned away, I felt the last remnants of her song fading into the night, a bittersweet farewell. And in that moment, I understood. I could never truly escape her. The truth would always linger at the edges of my consciousness, a haunting melody that would follow me wherever I went. I turned from the river, but my feet felt heavy, as if the damp earth was holding me back, trying to keep me tethered. The air was thick with the scent of wet leaves and the musky tang of the river, a reminder of where I had just been and what I had nearly succumbed to. I began to walk away, though it felt more like I was dragging myself through a fog, each step a reluctant farewell to the secrets that lurked beneath the surface. The trees whispered again, their sharp branches clawing at the sky, as if trying to grasp the last shreds of daylight that still lingered in the horizon. I quickened my pace, desperate to silence the melody that lingered in my mind. Every sound, the rustle of leaves, the distant call of a night bird, seemed to carry her voice, and I could feel a shiver skitter down my spine. Sergei! The tone was sharp and cutting, pulling me from my spiraling thoughts. At first, I thought it was part of the forest's trickery, that she had sent echoes following me. But then I realized it was the voice of Nikolai, my childhood friend. His silhouette emerged from the shadows, his worried eyes searching mine. "What happened? You disappeared for nearly an hour." I don't know," I stammered, trying to catch my breath. The eerie calm of the river still clung to me like a shroud. "I just needed some air." Nikolai frowned, his brow furrowing deeper as he stepped closer. "You went toward the river? That's dangerous. You shouldn't be there alone, especially not at night. The stories." "I know the stories," I snapped, irritation flaring. "I've heard the same tales 100 times. The river, the song, the girl." "Then why would you go?" he interrupted, worry etching itself into his features. "You've heard what those who've ventured too close have said. Sergei, there's something wrong with that place." A shudder danced down my spine, and I glanced back over my shoulder, half expecting to see her shadow hovering at the edge of the trees. I thought I could face it. I thought I could understand. "Understand what? The price of truth?" he retorted, his eyes wide with disbelief. "You can't just—" But the melody wafted back into my thoughts. Weaving through my mind like smoke, I took a step back, feeling the pull of the river once more, the ghostly figure swimming beneath the surface. "I can't explain it," I murmured, my voice barely above a whisper. "It was beautiful." "Beautiful?" Nikolai spat, incredulous. "Or entrancing. It's a lure, Sergei. It's meant to draw you in, to trick you into believing something that isn't real. You have to resist." His words drummed against my resolve, rattling me. What if it is real? What if there's more to the truth than what we've been told? He shook his head violently, frustration bubbling to the surface. "You're not listening. There are worse things than not knowing. People have given up everything, even their souls, for the sake of truths they've uncovered. They don't come back the same, if they come back at all." I was frozen with indecision. Hadn't I already crossed that line? I had ventured into the depths of her song, flirted with its darkness, and yet I was still here, still whole. Or was I? The thought clawed at me, a gnawing hunger for understanding. "Let's go back," Nikolai urged, his voice sharp but tinged with a genuine fear for my well-being. "Please, we can talk about this, figure it out away from the water." I hesitated, glancing once more at the river, its surface shimmering like a bed of stars trapped beneath the waves. There was a decision to be made, teenage curiosity intermingled with the dread of the unknown. Clarity settled around me like a fog, and I blinked away the vision of her, the truth I had nearly embraced. "All right," I said quietly, a sudden weight lifting from my chest as I took a step away from the water. "Let's go." As we walked, the shadows of the trees seemed to retreat, almost whispering their discontent. But I felt a flicker of hope stirring within me. Maybe this was not merely an escape. Perhaps it was an act of defiance against a truth I feared, against a melody that would continue to haunt me. We left the river behind, and for the first time, I could breathe a little easier, though I knew I would carry her song with me, a reminder of the edge I had danced upon, and the darkness that still lingered just beyond the light. The path back felt longer than I had remembered, each step weighed down by the oppressive silence that hung in the air like an unseen fog. Nikolai led the way, his shoulders tense, eyes guarding toward the trees, as if expecting them to reach out and snare us again. "You were lucky," he murmured, his breath catching as he glanced over his shoulder. "But what if that thing still wants you?" I stiffened at his words. The thought of Gamayun, her voice like silk wrapping around me, sent a shiver down my spine. I recalled how her eyes had sparkled with an unearthly light, the way her song had wrapped around my soul. "What if she has more to say?" I whispered, a part of me still yearning for her embrace, the cool caress of understanding that felt so close, yet so dangerously far. "You can't want that," Nikolai snapped, halting abruptly to face me. "Do you want to end up like the others? Lost forever?" His voice trembled, fear palpable. Those who sought her out, they didn't just lose their sanity, they lost their will to live. "You think you're special? That you can stand against her song?" I faltered, uncertainty clawing at me again. Maybe I was already changed. Perhaps the allure of her voice had seeped into my marrow, intertwining with my very essence. "I can't get it out of my head. What if there are answers we're meant to find?" Nikolai shook his head fervently, his eyes fierce. "You can't chase shadows, Sergei. It will only lead to your undoing. You have to forget her. Forget that you ever heard her call." In that moment, my resolve solidified. The haunting melody echoed faintly in the back of my mind, but it was banished by the reality of Nikolai's fear, his deep-seated concern for my safety. I reached out, placing my hand on his shoulder. "I won't forget, but I have to understand it on my own terms. Maybe it's my fate." His expression softened, and I saw a flicker of understanding pass between us. "Then we'll face it together," he said, though the grimace on his face suggested he didn't like the sound of that. "But promise me, if you ever feel her pulling on you again, you'll tell me. You can't go back alone." "I promise," I lied, half-heartedly. I wasn't sure I would want his help if she came calling again. The river whispered again in my ears, a mere echo of what had once felt like a siren's song. As we reached the clearing, the afternoon sun streamed down through the branches, bathing everything in a warm, comforting glow. It felt like a sanctuary from the dark shadows of the forest. Yet, as I turned my back to the water, my heart pounded as if it knew a truth I had yet to accept. "Let's just get home," I said, forcing a smile, but a shiver skittered along my spine. The distant splash of fish breaking the surface made me look back one last time. The river stretched out like a memory, holding its secrets close. Days turned into weeks, and I buried myself in the routine of life. But Gamayun's song lingered like a faint hum in the back of my mind. I resisted the urge to seek her out, despite the way she danced on the periphery of my thoughts. Then, one evening, standing by my window, the sun setting in a smear of orange and violet, I heard it again. Her voice, soft and enticing, reaching through the ethereal fabric that separated reality from the spectral realm. My heart raced, but I took a deep breath, clenching the curtain in my fists. "No," I whispered to the encroaching twilight. "Not today." And just like that, I closed my eyes and turned away from the window, as the gentle call transformed into a distant echo, fading under the weight of my newly forged resolve. I had faced the darkness and returned, not unscathed, but wiser, carrying the gift of choice. In the soothing events of the mundane, I found my grounding. Her song would not claim me today. I would not give in to the siren's pull again. I would remain here, tethered to this world, and with each breath, I felt myself becoming whole once more.